It's the views, the booze, the fools. For baby, mommy, and daddy, we got all the tools. Real talk, mom dropping all the new jewels. Cliff Rock, got it on lock. Open shirt, be the super flirt. Greedy gut, got a strut, still no butt. It's the views from the friend zone. We celebrate like we always in the end zone. Yeah, it's the views from the friend zone. We celebrate like we always in the end zone. Yeah, it's the views from the friend zone. We celebrate like we always in the end zone.
Yeah, Happy New Year, y'all. This is our first episode of the new year. Hope all is well with everyone. It's your boy, Real Talk Mall, who I got in the building with me.
It's your boy, Cliff Brockman.
Yes. Open Shirt Poppy is going to be on this episode. He's running a little behind, but, you know, the show must begin. Cliff, man, how you feeling, man?
I'm good. We had a rough couple months, you know.
Yeah.
The last 4 or 5 months, I lost 4 important people. You know, my mother-in-law, my aunt, my uncle, and then our grandmother last week. So,
and I was close to your mother-in-law too. So
we lost
I felt
both
it
of us.
as well.
We lost four important people. So, but I'm good. I'm just trying to stay mentally strong and focused for my wife and just in general.
Yeah, man, that's good to hear. You know, I want to tell everybody out there, you know, Happy New Year. Stay strong. Stay committed to your physical health, your mental health. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to, you know, talk about, you know, relationships. We're going to talk about, you know, black men in the community. We're going to talk about still how COVID is this situation that won't go away. It is mutating. The rules are changing. The CDC is telling you one thing one day, and then it's changing the next. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's dividing the country as well, right? Because it's just such a thing where it's just like, you know, before, you know, you look at someone who's not vaccinated as if they're a problem in society. But then it's just like, you know, you catch COVID even after you vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? You can have the booster, 2 shots, you still catch COVID, and then, you know, people are losing their jobs because they don't want to get vaccinated. But, you know, people are catching COVID, and now they're telling you don't have to stay home for 10 days. You could come home after 5, come back to work after 5, or even if you have COVID but you don't have symptoms, come back to work. So, like, why were we firing people who didn't want to get the vaccines and still, you know what I'm saying? Like, even Kyrie Irving, he still can't play in New York and stuff like that. But it's just like, yo, if you got COVID, you can still come to work if you don't got symptoms. Like, what are we doing out here?
The guidelines are very confusing, and it's one of them things where you just, I think for the past 2 years, we just don't really have a real understanding of what's going on. We're just like going through the motions, and then it's like, you know, you're trying to do the right thing by taking all these vaccines and stuff, whatever. And like you said, people are still getting COVID, so it's like, I took the booster, I took the vaccine shots, whatever, too, and I'm still able to get COVID, and I'm still able to spread it as a simple. So it's just like, you know, we don't know what else to do.
And on top of that, it's like, because of the way things are, like, sometimes you can't even get in to see your doctor. Your doctor just want to give you a teleconference. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and it's like, yo, like, how do we stay strong? Like, some people who, sometimes pregnant women are being turned around, like, yo, if you're not delivering today, even though you think you might be delivering, go home.
Because they don't want, right now, what's going on in the hospitals and stuff, they don't want unnecessary people there, period. So if you're not there by appointments, even with surgeries, even major surgeries, they turn you back around and say, listen, you know, until you know that everything's good, you took a COVID test and everything's legit, that's when you're going to have surgery, you know? So,
since 2022, I've taken, since late 2021 to 2022, I've taken like 5 COVID tests.
I mean, at my job, we do a weekly COVID test. So
you know what I'm saying?
I've taken a lot.
I've taken at home, I'm taking PCRs, I'm taking rapids, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, yo, when will life ever be the same?
That's a good question. I mean, right now, the best thing for you to do is just stay around close ones, people that you care about, and then just try to move forward because, you know, like through COVID alone, I probably lost through COVID. I probably lost around like 10, 12 people that I actually knew, not know, oh, I'm walking past it, straight up, I knew them. And then, you know, I just look at life differently for the last 2 years in general. Just last couple of years from my health condition also, but also with COVID, I take life very serious. So, like the best things to do is stay around close, but just check on people. A little phone call don't hurt nobody.
No, that's a
How
fact.
you doing? What's going on with you? I ain't hear from you in a week or two.
Yeah,
And just keep it that way.
Another thing I want to say is like, I appreciate anyone who's giving us a chance to listen to the podcast. We haven't had a show since November, so those who come back, I appreciate it. You got a lot of choices out there. Everyone's doing a podcast now. I always say to those who are willing to listen, like what differentiates us from other podcasts is we're not trying to be like superstar podcasts or, tell you these crazy stories. We're trying to be real everyday people, trying to, speak to what's going on, how people are dealing with relationships, how we're dealing with our mental health, how we're dealing with, just being black in America. And that's the focus of our podcast. I want you, if you take the time to listen to our podcast for an hour and a half, I want you to be like, you know what? I understand what he's talking about. I can relate to it. We're not bringing up these crazy, things or try to gossip too much. I just want to be able to be at home for this hour and a half that you listen to our podcast. I want you to smile. I want you to laugh. And I want you to think. Those are the three things that I hope View from the Friend Zone podcast provide you every time that you listen to the show. There's a lot of things going on in this world. This world is crazy. You have a lot of choices. Celebrities are doing these podcasts, and I don't hate. Cliff is like a podcast aficionado. He listens to everything. I don't hate on celebrity podcasts. Those are, you get the insider view of certain things, Yeah. But at the same time, it's sort of like, hearing these lavish stories. It's cool. I want to listen to it sometimes, but I may not want to listen to it all the time. Yeah.
I mean, I like to watch, listen to other podcasts, and, and like I said, we were very thankful for people who's coming back to listen to Views from the Friend Zone in our podcast. I like to get the insightful things of, how to get better, because every day, even whatever you do, sports, athlete, work, whatever, entertainment, you should always want to get better and improve every year, right? Yeah. That's what life goals is about. And, I listen to all kind of podcasts and appreciate all of them because they all give me a little something, and I try to go back and report it to you like, oh, this is what we should do and stuff, whatever. Too. Yeah. They're getting some insightful. Some of them are just loving hip hop stuff, and some of them are just something you can learn about.
Yeah, I want Views from the Friend Zone to be the best life experience, real podcast it could be, right? We're not trying to be, I'm not going to start naming other podcasts. We want to be the best at what we want to do. We want to give perspective of, single black men trying to navigate things, married black men trying to navigate things, just the black experience. And I want us to be able to have conversations about everything. I want us to be able to talk about current events, political, but not bore you with, our political opinions, but just talk about how these things affect us. How are we trying to navigate through this COVID, politically charged, racist times that we're living in? It's 2022. Like when you hear the sound 2022, like Back to the Future, like crazy.
Yeah,
but we're here.
But what's crazy, right? Like I always thought like when we first say 2000s, things would change, but it's changing, man.
Yeah,
changing. People. Like, we have the whole country that's basically sick. Yeah. And it's scary because it's like, every day you wake up, you're thankful now. Like, you're really thankful. Before, you like, every day above ground was blessed day. Now you're like, yo, I just want to make sure that, my tests come back good. I could go to work. Yeah. I'm able to pay my bills and do stuff. And, your mindset and the process, the way you think is totally different now. Like, if COVID, one thing COVID taught me is to take life serious, man. This thing is not a game at all. Like, I would like to say I was one of the people like I'm not gonna get vaccinated until my job kind of mandated me. But I was a little like I'm good. I don't want to put that in my body, but I'm kind of glad I did do it because, it gave me some security. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have all the answers for it, but it gave me some security, and I haven't had COVID since I haven't had COVID not once.
Yeah, we're 2 years in.
Yeah, 2 years in. That I know of,
And another thing I want to say is, like, we have to be able to understand that life comes with a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Right? You're uncertain about what's next. You're uncertain about a lot of choices you're going to make. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. I just can't waste the time in them because it's just like, what benefit does it have? You could say, oh, they're trying to do this and that with the vaccine and stay unvaccinated, and you could catch COVID and die. If you get a chance and you're just listening to the podcast, I invite you to go to the Views from the Friendzone Instagram page. I try to post between, we used to do episodes every week, and then we went bi-weekly, and now we're monthly. Because COVID, things are like, we're trying to limit the contact. It's tougher to navigate through things, so we still want to be able to have, light interaction with you guys. So I try to post commentary videos about funny things that I saw. 1 minute clips, right? It's like Instagram posts. Anyway, I did a recent post about this singer, and I think she was in Russia.
Okay.
And she died because she went to get COVID on purpose so that she could get an exemption. Like when you recently had COVID, you get recovery exemption. So it's just like the likelihood of you, when you get over COVID, catching COVID and passing COVID immediately for a little while is lower. So there's exemptions like, oh, since you recently had COVID and you're over it, now you don't have to have vaccinated to do things.
Yeah.
She got COVID on purpose and she wound up dying.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? She purposely got herself infected with COVID just so she could be like, I had it, I'm over it, give me the recovery exemption, and she died. Like, people out here taking these chances and screwing with themselves. But I want to begin to talk about, our first episode. This is New Year 2022. I want to talk about the black man and mental health, black people and mental health. We try our best to just not be male-centric perspectives and try to have women guests as much as we can. So we have a different perspective. We used to have a continual woman part of our panel, but she had to step away due to personal reasons and personal things going on in life. So Amanda, Greedy Gut is always family, will always be youth in friend zone. And she used 100%. To provide us with, the woman perspective, but she hasn't been part of the show for over a year now. So I say that to say this, we try our best to not just make it a man's world kind of show, but at the same time, for us to be honest and true and transparent, we got to speak from men's perspective. Yeah. And the first, topic I want to talk about is the black man conditioned to fail. And the reason why I say that is I was watching TV and I was watching sitcoms, and so many of the sitcoms, right, men were just like giving their wives hard times and like anytime showing their feelings towards their wife, like in a romantic way, they always made it seem like, why I got to do this? The father in sitcoms, like the Al Bundys and the different, like they didn't want, like they loved their wife, but they didn't show them, you know what I'm saying? Like, the love that's just like, it always used to be like he got pressured into doing, And then I started thinking about like the black male influences. Like we don't have, Carl Winslow or, Bill Cosby, even though, Cosby turned out to be a whole nother animal, but, the perspective of Phil Huxtable, right? I'm not even going to say Bill Cosby. We don't have Phil Huxtable no more. We don't have Carl Winslow, Philip Banks. Yeah. We don't have those kind of things to look up to.
Robert Townsend.
Right? So it's like, what are the examples do the black man have for him to like watch the world and then be raised up to be something positive?
On TV?
On TV, media in general.
So that's a good one. I never thought about it like that.
Like because before we're smart enough to make the decisions on our own, we have to have stimulus to raise us up. We have to see things to be like, okay, like for instance, everybody not going to go to the NFL or the NBA. Yeah. Everyone's not going to be a musician.
100%.
So we need stimulus of just positive, common things, right? Like it's cool that you could look at Serena Williams doing something positive or Jay-Z, but these are outliers, right? Everyone's not going to be Serena Williams or Jay-Z. We need examples of, I hate to use the word regular or normal, but like a typical example of black success.
Yeah.
And I feel like we lose it more and more. We have no examples. So I'm like, especially as men, do you feel like the black man is kind of being set up to fail? How many positive outlooks do you have if you're not talking about entertainment and sports for you as a black man to feel like I see that example and that's going to be me?
Wow, that's a good one. Like, you're right. We don't have the old school TV shows that showed the examples like the,
even
Fresh
Martin.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Even Martin and things of that nature. Like, we don't have that, Martin, even though Martin wasn't like a family sitcom in the traditional way, like the, Family Matters, at least Martin was a productive, funny dude. Even though the clown Tommy, like, nobody was like, bums. Everyone was like productive.
Yeah. Everybody had something going.
Had something going. And like, what are our examples of that now?
I mean, besides, like you said, besides sports and entertainment, you don't really have that.
Like even the shows, the haves and the have-nots, the Greenleafs and stuff like that. It's centralized drama.
Yeah.
These people may be, going through. They may have some positive things going on, but there's always some like somebody's hidden in the closet. This person's sleeping. Like nothing is focused on raising us up. Everything is just either about drama, reality TV, or you got to get positive influences from like, celebrities that everyone's not going to be a celebrity.
That's a fact.
I have total respect for what Jay-Z is doing in the community. There's controversy. Jay-Z supports the NFL. NFL, don't always support black people the way they should. But I don't want to tell my nephew like, yo, look at Jay-Z. You could be Jay-Z. Maybe he could be Jay-Z, but I would want to be able to see more examples of easier ways for us to have that positive uplifting, that example.
Yeah, we haven't had shows like that in a long time. Like, you as a kid, and we as a kid, you could have came home and watched the TV show and said, damn, I experienced that last week in school. Yo, that happened in something in school where, you might get a parent, Robert Thomas, what's the Parenthood? What is it called? Is it Parenthood?
I think it was Parenthood.
Parenthood, you get, they come to school with TJ, he'll come to school with the gun and something because he was afraid of getting bullied, whatever. We don't have that no more. You're right. So the black man on TV right now, like in terms of, I think reality TV shows and like you said, drama, is what interests people and that's what keep the ratings up. So all these shows that was about family dynamics and giving you structure, they don't put them out no more.
Yeah.
Like I see Nickelodeon tries to incorporate some of them here or there, like for the kids where you and Netflix they got these little series and stuff and going, but you're right, they don't have that structure anymore.
And I get it. Some people might feel that that's corny and that's not what people want to do no more. But we didn't replace it with a modern, fresh take on things, right?
That's a fact. That's just like, that's a great question because we don't have the examples of certain TV shows that they gave you. Like Family Matters was a big deal for us growing up. Mm-hmm. You get the episode where Eddie got drunk and stuff. Little stuff that show you like, what?
Yeah.
Getting caught drunk driving, what you call it. They did this different dynamics. Those were important lessons that you should wait to drink at an appropriate time. But now we don't have that. We got a bunch of reality.
Let's keep
TV
it a
shows.
buck. Even Open Shirt Poppy has to step in the building.
Hola.
What's going on? How you?
What we jumped into the first topic talking about is the black man conditioned to fail, right? We're talking about we no longer have those examples to kind of like uplift the black experience anymore. Like if you're not, like think about it. Everyone's not going to be Serena Williams or Jay-Z or those entertainment kind of things, or even those athletes, LeBron. Like we expect those great black people to like put on for us and to give like good examples, but I can't tell my kid, my nephew, etc. Like, yo, look at Jay-Z. Even though he maybe could be the next Jay-Z, it's not likely that he'll be the next Jay-Z. We don't have those examples. No, we don't have those. This catching you up. We don't have those prototypical examples we used to have with like Family Matters, Parenthood, even Martin. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We've replaced those shows
the
with
father
the black
figures that showed you how
with
to
the black
how to,
experience
how
of
to
it just
behave.
being drama
We
now.
don't. Yeah, we don't have them in like entertainment. I would say necessarily, but we got a lot of. I guess there's people you could aspire to be like in business and stuff like that. They're not just visual. Like if you want to talk about TV, you know what I'm saying?
But
Raising your
TV's
children and stuff
TV,
like
but
that.
TV's a big influence of
Definitely.
of how you sometimes how your kids are raised. Because even me as a new parent of my 5-year-old daughter, I catch herself and she's watching these videos on YouTube, and I'm like she knows certain things I think she didn't know, but she's learning it from YouTube and stuff. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what he's saying means it's very important because we did have that family structure. Like Eddie will run into the place where somebody might try to jump Eddie with him. Next thing you know, he's coming to somebody to go get a gun to show the importance of. And then they might throw the gun in the bucket and say, this episode was about gun violence and how we don't have that anymore. Like the TGIF.
Yeah.
Thank God it's Friday, and then
love
we had
Friday
yeah,
TV.
that's what I'm saying. And then
kids
we had
is
all
running
those
the
shows.
streets on Friday
But
night
now we don't have that even to get off topic. We don't even have community centers. We used to go to town hall.
Mm-hmm.
You remember, I don't know. You know what town hall was?
Yeah.
Town hall was down the block where we all of us
After
now,
school programs.
All of us now in our 30s, close to the 40s, we know each other from town hall 20 years in, because that's where parents like, yo, you go there until 6 o'clock and then come to the crib. Don't come to the crib. You know what I'm saying? Because it was it was structure. It was something to do. We don't have that anymore, and that's a great.
But that's more important. Those type of programs and stuff, I think, is even more important than, you know what I mean, the things you see on TV and what have you. Even though those shows is very impactful and influential, it was that type of stuff that gave you something to do outside of either sitting in front of a TV on a video game or out in the street. You know what I'm saying? Doing what you shouldn't have been doing.
Like the episode of Fresh Prince when the dad never came back.
And why he don't want me?
And why he don't want me? That to this day, that's that episode like 20 years in.
Yeah,
to this
that was
day,
very
it
deep.
hit home.
Because a
that
lot of
scene
people,
was
a lot of people
powerful.
felt,
It hit home.
a lot
That
of
scene was
people felt like
powerful.
Will did.
Yeah, like
You know what I'm
why
saying?
you know what I'm saying? So it hit home. We don't have that like. You're right though. We don't have them old school shows that gave you that. Because when I watch this show,
all
I
the
be like,
TV like that.
Yeah,
no more,
but the programming
there aren't
is pretty
any-
much gone. And don't get it twisted. We know it's parents and influential members of the family. It's their duty to raise children, right? But let's keep it a buck. Everybody's working. Everybody, things are so expensive now. There's no such like.
Yeah, we gotta put
If
more
you have
hours
if
in,
you have a stay
not
at
as
home
much
mom,
time
that's a
to
blessing.
spend with the kids.
That's a
Yeah.
blessing. But how many people know they have stay at home moms? You need,
you need
especially
two
in the New
households
York
to be-
tri-state
to be,
area,
yeah.
you need two incomes to be.
to live
I'm
comfortable.
trying to think back. Our parents was home a lot more than, I think we're allowed to be home. I don't know. They had jobs and stuff too, but they just didn't have to do as much.
But you
I
know,
think.
but you know what's crazy?
It wasn't
though?
as
You know what's
expensive.
crazy?
Cost of living.
Listen, you know what's crazy? Like, I'm the youngest out of 4, right? It got to the point where a time where I could have been doing whatever I wanted. And they wouldn't know because somebody had to work, somebody had to do whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you still had them dynamics of shows to tell you, sports always kept you in line. If one time if you dreamed to be a basketball player or whatever, you had to keep yourself busy. I feel like a lot of times it's like we don't, like, in terms of the TV aspect, we don't have that generation where we could look at, get the example from. But now a lot of kids, they don't even look forward to join certain teams. It's like you got to push your kid. Oh, you gonna join tennis today?
Yeah.
You be like, it's like I see kids now. They just be
Yo,
freelancing.
I was the most athletically chasing fat boy I knew. Like, I wasn't as good as an athlete as everybody else, but I still made the effort to like try to keep up.
Still amazes me how I'm telling you, when we used to play the four courts at 80 and everything like that, Marv was running up and down with the rest of us, no problem.
Yeah.
It's faster than some of us sometimes.
But the crazy,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
say that to say this: kids aren't athletic like that anymore.
Yeah.
Because like we had video games, and to be honest with you, we would spend hours playing video games.
We'd be
But when the
outside
weather
more.
was nice,
We had to
was
be
outside
outside.
all
we
day.
didn't really care about the video games after
was
that.
for when the sun went down and we wanted to go inside, or it was winter.
It was
You know
more
what I'm
like,
saying?
it was more
It
like
cold
after
out.
9 o'clock.
It's-
Everybody's like, they're gonna play NBA Jam, whatever.
Yeah.
2K, whatever.
Let's go
Later,
play Bond.
It
You,
wasn't-
you probably, real talk, growing up, you probably spent like 10 hours at the most a week playing video games.
Yeah.
These kids play 6 hours a day on video games. And then when the weekend comes, sometimes they don't even want to leave their room. They're on the YouTubes, and this topic about is the black man failing.
But
this
their
is not
social-
about
it's
being
about-
the old
but
man.
No,
on
that's
the,
no. But their social skills are lacking like that too.
Very much.
But what I'm saying is this: like now that you saying that about the black man, it's feel like you're right. We don't have no show dynamics and nothing that shows the younger generation. All right, this is who you should follow. Besides, everybody want to be a rapper. Everybody want to be an NBA player. Everybody want to be lit, regardless of what. Everybody want to be important, regardless of what. But the fact that to show that, okay, you should be inspired to be a fireman, a police officer, something that's realistic. We don't have no show
Even
that
Rock.
show that. Yeah, Rock
Even the
was
show
a garbage
Rock.
man, boy.
But
It
you know
had
what I'm
a
saying?
good-
But they touched a
was
lot of
good.
real.
It was real for real.
Yeah, that
Rock
was
was real
real.
for real.
And Rock was a really relatable show, right?
And Rock
Because
had the gang shows. He had all kind of joints.
let me tell you what screwed
That's
up.
crazy.
I never said I've said this, sporadically throughout the whole time we were doing the shows, but I want to bring that up again. Like the way that I pursued relationships up until like 24, 25 was I was looking for a woman to complete me so we could be like the Cosbys. I wanted to be a professional working man. She's a professional working woman,
Yeah.
and we just raise up dope kids. That was my perspective. And I say that to say, like, at least that was a relevant example of like what I was shooting for. And it was TV. Like, my
But
mom
as I
and
got
pop.
older, I mean, yes, everything you're saying is true. But as I got older, to have a doctor as a father and a mother, a lawyer,
That's just like
and they
winning
was
the
home
lottery.
pretty consistently.
That's like winning the
That's
lottery.
kind of phony, man.
Yeah, it is.
They're not gonna be home
But
that often.
at least
to be
it was
dealing
a
with
positive.
the drama.
It was a positive influence.
yeah, it
to
was.
live.
It's TV.
That's what we live up to. These kids want to be teen mom, loving hip hop, lit, Real Housewives. Like these examples of being on TV and shit like that.
Reality TV was the destruction of shows like we talking about.
Yeah, because
That
the
it
people
just-
didn't have no intent. People.
You don't have to be as creative.
Reality TV
Writers
is
don't have to try hard.
It's car accidents,
You know,
right?
you're just like, oh,
Even if you don't want to pay attention to the car accident, you pay attention to it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And that's what
yeah.
reality kind of meant, and we're not passing. So,
It's lazy.
so let me bring it all back to the first topic is the black man conditioned to fail, and in the black community. And the first sub question I want to bring up is, if you go to get therapy, you're soft. However, if you go to prison, you're gangster. Why is that? Like if you hear, I mean, we're getting better at it lately. So I got to give kudos to the black community. We've, especially within the last 5 years, we have gotten better in accepting that someone's going to therapy. Because now we're like, damn, you're going to therapy? That's what's up. Because you see that someone's working upon themselves. But it's still on the masses, it's sort of like, damn, he going to therapy? Yo, I didn't know he was crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't know
because-
something was wrong with him. But if you hear somebody go to jail, you're just like, oh man, he got caught. But he stood up.
He held it
He
down.
held it down.
He
He,
held
ain't
it down.
snitched.
He ain't
He a
snitched.
stand-up
Yeah.
dude. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of give more love for being the
Because-
dude who's gangster and went to jail than the dude who will get therapy and work on himself. So
Because the
Cliff, go ahead.
not even to bring stuff, but it's like the glorification of, like, when Bobby Smurda came on, he did 7. He didn't tell.
Bobby's an icon for
listen and I like
and I like Bobby.
some of his
So
music.
this
Some
is not shade
downplay
to
him.
this is not shade to
He
Bobby,
did
but you're
7.
making a point.
He did 7 years, whatever. He came home and he whatever too, but he was doing menace shit out here.
yeah.
He was terrorizing the streets. No disrespect, and I like the music. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not trying to come at him. He was terrorizing the street, and we glorify that. So when if I tell you that I'm going to therapy, you like, damn, Cliff, I ain't know you were struggling. I ain't know life was that hard to you, because people don't understand
but
it.
then now people might think you soft because you decided to go to therapy.
But people don't understand it.
I think everybody who's in a position to go to therapy, like they have the health coverage or they have the money where they can afford to do that, understands. Because I don't want to say everybody, but 90% of people can use somebody to talk to and just let off their stress to. And that's all therapy is. You just letting out your stress. You know what I'm saying? Talking to somebody on things you might be, questioning or whatever, and trying to find your way in life.
The number one thing that I like about therapy, and even as someone like for the new year, one of my goals is to I've done therapy in the past more on a marriage therapy kind of thing from different times in my marriage, but I want to do personal therapy. And the reason why I want to do personal therapy,
Never done personal therapy?
never done. I've done personal therapy, like you have to do, like to get surgery or something like that. Sometimes you have to see a therapist kind of thing. I haven't had a regular therapy session for myself, and I want to know why. Is because this year I'm turning 40, and I'm struggling with, like, as a black man, 40 is big for everyone, but as a black man, like, damn, black men sometimes we don't live past 20, 30, and it's common. So when you hit 40, you just like, what has my impact been?
You start questioning what you did on
what have I done?
In
What am I shooting to do going forward? And sometimes
you got past the idea of, well, I survived to make it here.
Yeah.
Now you're thinking about, well, now that I survived to make it this far, what impact am I going to leave? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You start thinking about towards the end.
At least, God has blessed you two. You guys, you have a child, you have a couple children, and you can, at the end of the day, sometimes when you're working hard and stuff like that, you can step back and say, you know what, damn, maybe I haven't done everything that I wanted to do, but this is my legacy. And I'm making sure that my legacy has an impact. I'm passing along to them jewels and stuff like that. Yeah. When you don't have children, you kind of be like, damn, like, who am I leaving the jewels to? Who am I giving my examples of my failures, my success? Like, you start to question your relevance, right? Yeah. And to be honest with you, that's why I love doing this show, because we get to have honest conversations that I know someone else has to be thinking like this.
This will be in the capsule forever. It can always be,
You know what I'm saying?
But it don't have to be just, your kids and stuff like that. Yes, I completely understand that. At least you can look and say, these are my legacies. I leave my legacy with them and what have you. But you got nieces, you got nephews, you got godchildren. You got plenty of people in your life. And it don't just have to be kids that you can impart your wisdom on and leave your legacy
and you
that
try.
way.
You try your best, and you try to live in a way for that to be, a great thing in your life. But you also have to be honest with yourself. It's a difference, right? It's a difference between an uncle and a dad. It's a difference between a godfather and an actual father. So I say that to say this, you reach a certain age and you think to yourself in therapy, like, to me, if I had to be honest with myself, I think to myself, like, man, I've been a productive member of society. I didn't get locked up. Wasn't a knucklehead and stuff like that. I've tried to be positive. But then I also question, like, man, if God gives me another 40 after this year, what am I going to do with that next 40? And I want to have organized thoughts. I want to have an outlet to be able to speak to someone about things that, maybe even though you guys in this room, it's my best friends. You know what I'm saying? My brother, my best friend since I was a kid. But there's still certain things sometimes that, you're kind of like, I'm not hiding it from them, but I'm not sure if I'm comfortable to say this thing out loud.
Right? But
and that's what therapy represents, that avenue that everyone should be able to. Like, to be honest,
it sounds like you might want to look to, like, doing some mentorship, you know what I'm saying? And one of those programs or community things that aren't around anymore, but they still have some big brother type of things and stuff like that. You might want to look into doing that, because you could definitely help somebody and affect them.
I know this sounds crazy. You know what? Oh, you know what has always, like, I want to do that, and then I'm also hesitant, because people start to, like, when you like you're 40 years old, you're married, you don't have no kids, and then you do things where it's just like you embark yourself into kids' lives. People always be like, he ain't got no kids. Why he want to be around his kids? And anybody who knows me knows I just love kids and I love helping people. But to me, it always made me feel like
people,
Yeah, but you can't base just things on what people
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
and
but
stuff, whatever, too.
it's always that like I don't want to expose myself to a situation where I'm like caught up in a bad situation. I'm look like a weirdo because I don't have kids.
But you, like you said, you trying to define your legacy. Sometimes your legacy is just helping people.
Yeah.
It don't got to be nothing. It don't got to be nothing. And then you shouldn't define your purpose by age. You know what I'm saying? You get into 40 right now through a pandemic. That's the blessing in itself, right? So, meet somebody at 36 years old. I share it in 2015. I had open heart surgery, and I don't move like somebody who had these kind of things. I move productively because I take like very serious. Yeah. So your legacy don't got to be defined by age. But you should talk to somebody. There's certain things that you would not want to share with me as your brother and as Mike as your best friend, right? There's certain things you should keep to yourself, and that's okay. Going to therapy lets you do that and express that, right? I feel like I should see therapy too because it's like, sometimes you feel like you're doing everything right, and then in relationships.
You work in mental health, so
No, I work in mental health, and I talk to people on a day-to-day basis, like, and we have these discussions in terms of people in the jail, just in general, but you still don't get clarity. You could help 30 different people, but you might need 2 people to help you or somebody else to help you to see what's going on, whatever, too, because sometimes your vision get blurred, but don't define what your purpose is by your age. Define that, what you would. You might be somebody just going to help somebody just for the rest of their lives, whoever it is.
Yeah.
So that's what I
But that's another thing that just, being a black man in this society, surviving certain things. Even I told you I had survivor's guilt of COVID. Watching people catch COVID and die.
Yeah.
Some of these people younger than I am, some people around my age, and it's just like, yo, I survived, I caught COVID and I overcame it, and I'm just like,
feel guilty for that?
I don't feel guilty for it, but it kind of further make you say like, man, I'm a big dude with pre-existing conditions. I caught COVID. I was able to overcome it. I didn't have really no symptoms. You know what I'm saying? I had I lost the sense of smell kind of thing, was able to bounce back. Cool. But then it's just like, I know people better shape, in my head, from far as I know, was in better condition than I was. They catch COVID and die.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying. So it's your mortality. It makes you realize like, yo, I do have an expiration date.
Yeah,
we all do. Yeah.
How do I make the best of it? You know what I'm saying. And I feel like I can use therapy to like really bounce the doubts in my head, to be a better person, to be more confident in everything that I do. You can use therapy.
I think the reason why, as a black man, we glorify going to jail instead of saying going to jail is cool, whatever, better than using therapy, because you don't really start being developed until you're 25. So life doesn't hit you until you're 25. That's when you really start. Things still really start getting serious, you don't turn mature until you're 25 as a black man, real talk. So
not even as a black man.
Just in general. No, I'm just in just a
some
man.
of us are forced to become, more grow up faster.
Not even just a black man. And men don't turn until 25 where life really hits you. So a lot of times it's these kids in the generation, they could see somebody going to jail every day. My man just got out. He just did a bid, and it seemed like, he just came home, and then we're supposed to celebrate it. But going to jail is not a reward. They're not giving out this, and they're not giving you no reason.
You don't really mature or grow while you're there. You're stagnant.
It's hard to grow, very differently.
I wouldn't say that you won't mature and grow, because a lot of times is, because I've been working in the jail system.
It's a tainted maturity that you have.
But a lot of times is this. I'm explaining the dynamics of it, because I've been close to 9 years there. A lot of times, some people need jail because they was gonna die. Literally die in the streets. The environment they was in and what you call it. Sometimes jail. If you talk to somebody, some people say jail saved my life because the environment they was gonna die.
Wildin'. Yeah.
They was to that point, you know, and what you call it. So when you do come there, you do get some kind of structure on a day-to-day basis. You can tell them, somebody tell you when to go to sleep, how to, you know, it's certain. It could be impactful. It all depends what kind of person you are. But what I'm saying is,
I'm glad you corrected me on that, because that is a point.
Therapy, and I'm saying the difference between we glorify going to jail instead of therapy is because, like I said, before 25, you don't understand it. After a 25-year-old man will understand what therapy is. If you tell somebody 18, yo, you need to go to therapy, I'm like, fuck out of here. Who you think you're talking to?
Like you cursed at them.
Like, fuck out. You ain't even got money. You talking about therapy. I got more money in my pocket. Man, get the fuck out. See, people only respect what they do. Like, the reason why rappers are the best thing smoking, and these young generations see it, whatever, they want to be like Little Baby and all them. And I'm not judging nobody. I'm just saying it's because they can see that's something they can do. If you tell somebody, you know, you should grow up and be a therapist. He gonna be like, what the fuck that's gonna do for me?
Yeah, the rapper seems more easily obtainable.
Hold on, I'm getting money.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm getting money. So a lot of times is we glorify somebody coming home from jail, like, yo, Bobby just did 7. He came home, he ain't rat on nobody, and he back on top. So I don't care if I get 10. It is what it is, but it's going down tonight. Yeah. See that element? You understand what I'm saying?
Unfortunately, I see kind of both sides of the coin. Not both. Well,
but what I'm saying is, I'm sorry about that. What I'm saying is they can gravitate more than somebody going to jail and keep coming back, because it's a cycle in our community. Yeah. You start mentioning therapy, right? Somebody who's under 25. And they don't have, and they didn't even have the guidelines of that mentor or that father figure, and all they knew was the streets. The streets, jail and the streets are together. A lot of times is dudes in jail know what's going on in the streets because that kite been sent from the officers, everybody all around. The jail and street, therapy don't equal nothing to a young black man or a young somebody young, whatever, too. Unless you're old enough to understand what therapy does for you, you're not gonna understand it.
And that's the thing. I would definitely say, I'm in therapy now.
I need to be in therapy
I go to therapy. I have a therapist.
Let me ask you a question. What is your therapist black?
No.
Okay.
And I've never had a black therapist, but that's
I'm
what
looking for a black male therapist. But continue. I don't need the details of your therapist. I'm
gonna get to it though. I'm going to just say, I don't know, to get back to what you were saying, if I could have appreciated or if I could have got the full impact of therapy had I went before that age, which you say. The first time I ever had therapy was after my divorce.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was a white male I went to, whatever. We had about 5 sessions. But at that age, how old was I? I was over 25.
Okay.
Right? So I got a lot out of that, right? And then there was some time in between. I didn't have a therapist at all going through it. But I always was like, you know what? I need to get another therapist or whatever, because, excuse me, the good thing about it, I got family, I got friends who I could talk to or whatever. But at the same time, like you were saying, there's some things
you can't share that information. You don't feel comfortable. Yeah.
But you're a perfect stranger. You're comfortable sharing.
Listen, I always make the joke. Therapy and your porn selection are 2 things that you necessarily need to keep to yourself and not necessarily spread to the world.
This guy's good.
This
guy's another level. Finish your story.
I never been.
That's a bar. Go back and listen to what I said.
Really. I spent the night in jail, and that was definitely impactful. So it will teach you some lessons if you not ignorant enough to not want to learn. Like being sat down and told you can't do this, you can't do that. It's very impactful for some people.
Yeah.
You know, but I got much more out of my therapy sessions than I did that night in jail. And that's because I was willing to embrace the process, right? And even before, you can't be forced. You got to tell yourself, this is something I need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like I was saying before, a lot of people don't have the means to go to a therapist or seek therapy. And that's why it's not the common thing in our community or whatever, whereas jail is more common. Like if you ask like 20 people in the hood, right? Dudes, whatever. You'll probably find that more has went to jail than has seek therapy.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
But
it shouldn't be that way.
A question I want to ask to you, but what you go to this is, and that's just both of y'all. So if we decided to say if we picked, let's just say we picked 20 young brothers, whatever, 17, 18 years old, and so we say, yo, we're going to give you therapy. We're going to give you therapy. If you go to therapy, it's going to give you, we also going to give you a job, whatever, And they already, boom. Would a lot of them take it, though?
No. But at the same
that's
time,
too young, though.
But
that's too young.
That's what I'm saying. See, before 25,
to be honest with you,
before 25, they don't understand it, right? Because we take it's an age of selection with
but
that.
to me, that'd be the perfect time to get them into therapy because
yeah,
that could change their whole life. But like you said, at that age, you don't know if you can embrace it.
I think offer a mentorship more so than therapy.
If you ask them the same 20 kids, yo, you know anybody go to jail? Yeah, my man Raheem just came home. Yo, he said his records ain't whatever. They'll tell you a whole story from all the 20 kids.
A lot of niggas always go to jail and be like, it ain't nothing.
Because they understand.
It ain't nothing.
They understand. They knew somebody. Their cousin might have went to jail. Somebody could pass the message to them. Nobody's passing the message of the baton to say, this is
I go to therapy. This is what you can get from it.
You said something earlier that, it also brings me back to the primary conversation we're having is the black man conditioned to fail. Just think about it, right? So as a rapper, you said something like, I'm down for whatever. Bobby just did 7. He came home. He's still lit. He's still the dude. Even while Bobby was in jail, he was getting love. They kept his name buzzing. It was all good just so we could hot. Is it called Hot Nigga?
Hot Nigga.
Hot Nigga, right?
Yeah.
Bobby only got that one record that you really know about. For a man to stay relevant for 8 years off of one record, that was on the beat of another person, right?
Yeah.
Because
that was Lloyd Banks' beat.
Yeah, that was another dude's beat. Think about it. Yeah. So it wasn't even like a fresh new song. It was just like almost a freestyle on another beat. That kept the dude.
One of the reasons why that song was so relevant for so long ago, because it kind of started the drill music wave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the whole Brooklyn resurgence of rappers.
But this is
you know what I'm saying?
You're right,
but this is the point I want to make on the black men being conditioned to fail. Think about it. So Bobby is this hero. Dude, he didn't snitch on his men. He could have took less time if he let his man hang, but he didn't. He had the time redistributed. We know the legend lawyer, right? So a black kid thinking to himself who wants to grow up and be a rapper, he's thinking to himself, part of my swag gotta be I was in the streets, I was popping that cats, I was doing all this wild shit, I gotta get locked up. That's my prerequisite. Think about it. A white boy who wanna be a rock star, all he has to do is dress a little different, paint his nails, have a little swag, and guess what? He could build himself up to be a rock star.
Yeah.
How the only thing I can say with the rock star life, not being a participant, but a lot of times they do drugs, and heavy drugs can lead to a bad situation, right?
Yeah.
But we do heavy drugs in our culture too, with the perks and pills and stuff like that.
And all that.
But that prerequisite of having to be a real N-word, like people can pull your.
I don't know. Let me counter that argument though, because are we really checking the stats on these dudes? All right, because you don't forget about a 6'9". You can talk that crazy talk like you in the streets,
but what I'm saying
and not really be that.
There's always going to be frauds.
Hot,
but Mike,
to put it on.
Mike,
you know
there's
what I'm
always
saying?
going to be frauds, but there's always going to be dudes who feel like my resume got to be solid for me to do this.
Yeah.
So even though you following 6'9", who's telling you the SMD and doing this crazy shit, and you find out that he really not built like that, there's gonna be kids like, yo, I can't be 6'9". I really gotta do what I'm saying in my song. Yeah. So you go out and commit crime, you go out and do craziness so that you solid in the streets. My reputation is solid.
Nah, but this is the thing, and this is what be bugging me out. I don't want to get off track with it, but when it comes to this hip hop stuff and these hip hop thugs, these niggas get the money and then they try to get the gangster. it's like they want to get more in the streets now that they got the means. Now that they got money to buy the guns
But you
and
know
pay
why?
off the
You know what
peoples.
it is?
They want to live up to the shit that they was really talking. It's crazy. It's backwards.
But let me just think about it. There's this hot TikTok, Instagram trend, right? And it's off of Spot 'em, Got 'em beatbox thing. It's like, Corbin, where's Corbin? You know the thing they keep doing? What's the name got shot? Billy got shot. Damn, it's a TikTok trend where this it's a New York rapper who just got locked up too. He's talking about all the bodies that's happened. Like he's literally snitching. Corbin, they found his corpse in the. You don't know this song?
Yeah, no, I heard it, but the ain't that with the Lil Durk and them people?
No. It's a Brooklyn cat. That's his freestyle on Spot 'em, Got 'em, and it's just like he told about all the bodies that's happened in New York. Corbin, they found his corpse. This is real shit. He reported all these, and I say this is just like he's viral because he did a freestyle talking about all the shit that really happened in Queens.
But he didn't do it.
He's talking about everything that's happened in the hood. He got locked up too because he recently shot at somebody and they caught him. And like even before he got to capitalize on his buzz, he's about to do a lot of jail time. Right? Like how many rock stars, young rock stars you hear are like, then they're blowing up and they're going to jail because of this stupid shit that they did. Their prerequisites to be a rock star. Every hot rapper in the Brooklyn, Queens area and stuff like that over the last 5 years, all of them are going to jail.
Forget that the ones in Chicago and Florida,
everywhere,
and them
going to jail.
going at each other. I watched the documentary, not documentary, it was like a YouTube joint on that. It was crazy. As soon as they pop, they get shot.
Yeah.
Soon as they pop, they end up getting shot. So they got these hot records and they dead.
Chef G's in jail right
know
now.
What I'm
you know what I'm saying? Pop Smoke didn't even get to
in Florida.
to
They
smell his
got
flower.
in Florida, they got all these crazy rappers that's popping.
Pooh Shiesty. As soon as I start to know who Pooh Shiesty is, he's facing like 70 years on some wild. You know what I'm saying?
As soon as you hear about him.
So I mean,
but that's the conditioning, right? Like the think about it. Like
to answer your question, it's yes.
Yes,
it's yes.
You know what I'm
as far as the
saying?
black man being conditioned to fail.
The problem is if you get your one or two your Kendrick Lamar's, the Chance the Rappers, what's the little dude that just he did the tennis players. He did the tennis players.
Corday.
I like Corday. You get Corday. You get your socially conscious rappers who make it far, whatever.
Weirdo Tyler, the Creator.
But if you go through if you ain't got the burner and you ain't got the AR-16s in the videos and y'all ain't got the lean and whatever, nobody want to hear it.
Everything y'all saying
in the videos, in terms of
we spent a lot of time of this aspect of the condition, the failure for the black man. But I want to be able to touch several subjects, right? Because we're actually running time. So the next one is another thing. As black men, we're not even conditioned to be faithful. We're literally not conditioned.
Damn,
we're not conditioned. Think about it. So my next thing is, if you chase and focus after one girl, you're a square. If you're promiscuous and have a lot of women, you're the man. Who give props? Like I even.
But let me tell you.
No, hear me out. Let me
fix it. Let me get on this one.
I'll let you go.
I even face it. I even face it now, right? Like sometimes within my family, I'm clowned because they like, damn, you rushing home to go to your wife. Like, chill. Why don't you just hang out in time? And I know it's jokes. Right? But I'm always clowned. It's like, damn, why
you for that?
I'm always clowned. And like, why you just want to go sit up under your wife and stuff like that? Like, you chill, hang out. And I know it's coming from a good place. It's clowning. But you just think about it. Like, that one kid who just chased after, like, to be with one girl. Everyone's like, yo, he's a clown. Like, you got to get out here and smash and dash everything that you see. And if you're not doing that, you're kind of a square.
Now see,
who gets love as the dude with just a girlfriend?
What you saying? You making it seem like it's the guys that's making that, you know what I'm saying, difficult. Your homies and this and that. I was listening to the radio actually just before I came. I was listening to the radio and it had this guy. He must have called at the radio or whatever. And was like, "Yo, why I'm the good dude, but chicks, you know, they always want the bad boys. They
chicks don't like you if you ain't got no hoes.
That's the thing.
You whack if you ain't got no hoes.
The women." The woman on the radio, she answered it and she was like, You know, the women, they're just used to that. They're used to having a project. They're used to having somebody to have to work on. You know what I'm saying? They used to looking in the phone and whatever, and they see it as that's love to them. You know what I'm saying? When a man is committed, want to be with them and spending time with them, they're not used to that. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this nigga.
But then they
when's he
treat the
always here?
dude like he's whack for that.
Exactly, because they're used to somebody making it hard for them. You know what I'm saying? When you make it easy for them and you show them the love that you want to express and feel they deserve, they're like, nobody else wants you. They're like, nobody else wants you.
But no, but listen.
You see what I'm saying?
Nobody wants to be with somebody that nobody else would want.
Yeah.
They want, it's as crazy as it sounds, they want to know, like, listen, yo, that's my man. Yeah, that's my man. I know other chicks want to,
but I got
be with him, and vice versa.
I got more looks once it was known that I was married than when they thought that I was single.
Yeah,
then joints that I didn't have, quote unquote, a chance to or access to, tried to show interest after the fact.
Because everybody looks better when you're in a relationship.
I tried it both ways. I was the scumbag who was like, yo, I'm out here. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'll let you know this was going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of chicks found it like appealing. It's like they wanted to be, you know what I'm saying? And my mix when I was like that.
If you have a selection and they make the cut, then they outshine somebody.
They feel special. But when I focus on one or two, or try to focus on one, you know what I'm saying, and give them my full attention, it's like I don't get that same response. I don't get that.
And you still the same dude. You still bringing the same pipe and everything to the table.
I'm not trying to be out there like that. So I'm trying to commit and show you that I could really settle down. And it's like, you don't appreciate that shit. You like out in the streets, Mike. You know what I'm saying? Out in the streets, Mike, it's hard to get a hold of.
But
exactly.
So that's what I'm saying.
What do you think about that?
No, I feel like it'd be mixed messages. Like like good dudes finish last. Like you could be doing everything right, and for the significant other, right, man or woman, whatever. Too, we're gonna find like, damn. After a while, you're gonna be like, yo, this is boring to me. You want some kind of spice. It's crazy. You want some kind of spice in your relationship. For some reason, and I don't know why, but that's just what it is.
Those toxic relationships, people like that shit.
Yo, I was around, obviously you guys remember, I was on a prior show and stuff like that. I remember one time I was clowns like, oh, he's going home to his wife. He love his wife, and I was clown for that. Like that was a roasting session for it. You know what I'm saying? Like how do we make black men be comfortable to be monogamous if we lessen their value for quote unquote not having hoes?
I think it's got to come more so from, not more so, but just 50-50. The women got to play a part in that. The women have to, first of all, value themselves enough to not settle for the no good niggas, right?
Yeah.
And when they do get a good nigga, big him up. You see what I'm saying? And appreciate him instead of always looking for the drama-filled ones.
But you know what it is? You could
stop looking for the projects.
It's true.
Yeah.
The baddest, obviously outside of my wife, the baddest joint I ever bagged was this bad joint that everybody was sweating, and I just used to clown her. I used to crack jokes on her and stuff like that, and she came to me because I treated her that way versus all the dudes who was up in her ass.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but it'd be like I think it's confused, like, because women say they want a good man and a great man, whatever too. But if you were a significant other where they always around, you're like, yo, this ain't it for me. You know what I mean? You start getting tired. You're like, what's going on? Like, but when you give them a little, sometimes you got to cancel the day just because. Mm-hmm. Let them know, listen, we ain't going out today. So what? I told you we was going on. So what? We're not going. Fuck it. Figure it out. Mm-hmm. Just because that shit right there is going to be like, damn, she going to get on the phone. Damn, girl, we were supposed to go out. He just canceled on me, whatever, too. I can't stand him. But that might lead to something else. Great sex or whatever. Yeah. But in her mind, she's like, damn, this is a man's man. But if she said we going out 6:30 and you ready by 6:15, she's like, I told him 6:30. I was ready at 6:15. They don't understand it. You know, people say they want a good guy or a good girl, whatever, quote unquote. But when they get them, they're not interested in that.
They want excitement.
They
People
want
excitement. They
want stability, but they want spice with it at the same time.
People want something.
That's my opinion.
Like we said, that others want, right?
Yeah.
They know others want, and that person knows that others want as well, but they chose to be with them. To answer the question, yes, black men, we are conditioned to fail within relationships. And more so than anything, I would say, look at how glorified pimping is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Pimps and stuff. I never seen no white pimps. Or no other. It's always us. We pimps.
But
You know what
they
I'm
seem
saying?
classy
But-
though. Our pimps seem trashy and like these you know, over glorified. I'm gonna slap a hole. There's white pimps and
Pimps
they
are
run it
violent.
like a business because vagina is a commodity that's always gonna be in
The
demand.
dude who owned the strip club, he's a pimp. That's pimping. If you
That
ask
is
me.
pimping.
You know what I'm saying?
You own the strip
That's
club.
legal
You got
pimp.
these girls out
It's
there
legal
doing
pimping.
things because you know they doing more than dancing. And
That is pimping. You right?
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to speak on like, you know, how we kind of condition black men for failure versus, you know, success is how we treat issues that black men go through. For instance, if a black man has issues or questions about his sexuality, we treat him like, oh, he's questioning his sexuality. Oh, he might be bisexual, gay, and shit like that. We treat him crazy. But if we know a dude is a killer, a drug dealer, or like, you know, a trait that we don't think is that necessarily productive to society, we still be like, yo, that's still that dude. You know what I'm saying? Regardless. But if a dude is just like questioning his sexuality, thinks he's gay, things of that nature, we avoid that dude at all costs. We will know it. Think about it. Think about
I
it.
think that's extreme.
It's not. Think about it. Think about it.
I don't know how that two
All right,
correlate.
let me. For example,
You know?
we would knowingly be a dude we know that like, you know, now we hearing rumors that this dude is gay and do closet stuff like that. We'll avoid him. We'd be like, you know, keep it a buck. We'd be like, you know, I'm not going to hate on him, but you know, I'm not going to be hanging around this dude and stuff like that. We will know that a dude is a known killer and has bodies and sell drugs and stuff like that. And we will take the chance and chill and hang out with that person like nothing's wrong.
Nope. No, man.
Bullshit.
I ain't.
Bullshit.
No,
If
Keep
you-
it a
if you-
buck.
hold on, if you-
Mike,
if you a
answer this
hustler-
question.
hold on,
Answer
hold on,
this
let me
question
tell you.
honestly. Answer this question honestly.
Listen, hold
the
on.
dude that you know that everyone in the hood is going around saying that he's gay and he was giving dudes head and shit like that. You're gonna stand right next to him openly, more so than the dude that you know has bodies and might have drugs on him. Who honestly, growing up the way that we had, who are you more likely stand next to with no problem?
Who would I more likely end up around?
No.
I don't. You can't say
Yes,
because I'm probably not going to end up around that
but
guy.
you gotta understand.
I'm not
listen,
gonna
there's-
honestly
there's-
choose.
Listen, what I'm trying to say, what you're saying about it is it's all about growth and maturity with that question, right? Listen, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I probably would hang out with the killer and the drug dealer and be like, yeah, you know what, fuck it. I don't want to be around that other person that you're saying, whatever. But now I'm like, it doesn't bother me. What you do in your bedroom, because there's a lot of closet freaks out here. So what you do in your bedroom
But you see,
doesn't...
even what you just said is wrong. Why is the dude
Closet freak?
the dude a closet freak? That's who he is.
No, what I'm
But
saying,
I'm only calling you out
No, what I'm saying
because
is-
that's
Closet freak.
No, what I'm saying, no,
You
you
know?
100%. What I'm saying, though, that's a question that you could answer. Like I said, 10 years ago, I'd probably be like, nah, I'm good on that. But I don't even want to be around that. But now I'm like, you know what? I don't care what he does in his bedroom. I'm okay with it. Like, you don't know who's who right now.
The thing about it is it's more valid these days when you talk about somebody being gay. We used to call each other gay all the time when we was young.
I feel bad
as
because
cracking
that used to
jokes.
be a
That used to
clowning
be,
thing.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You're mad gay, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. But it didn't. It still, that was your homie or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whether you thought anything or not. You know, I used to think Chris was a little fruity. That was Chris, man, all the time.
Well, you can actually say your name like
That
that's
ain't my
wrong.
man
That's
now.
my guy.
But
That's
just-
my guy.
But just think about it though.
I don't have no
We're
problem with him.
all talking from a perspective of growth and maturity. But I'm saying as a black man coming up in the communities and stuff like that, like if your man was known as a killer or a hustler and stuff like that, it was a badge. If your man was known as someone who's gay or sexuality is questioned, you had to disassociate yourself from them.
Yeah.
Because things change.
But how do, and I get it. And
But not
and
necessarily
I'm not
now, because he could be the two sides of the coin. He could play on both sides. He could be the dude who was crazy, hustling, whatever, got locked up, but he was snatching booties in the jail.
Hold on.
Then he come out.
But you know the booty snatchers in jail when they come out, they
gay for the stay.
They're gay for the stay, like
not no
they
more.
don't even get shunned like that. You know what I'm saying?
But in
Especially if
in
you were
Atlanta-
snatching the booties and not getting your booty snatched. People get the pass.
Hold on,
better.
To me, it's not better,
Hold on.
but they get the pass.
But in Atlanta, and so what you call it, you'll find a dude that's hustling, doing whatever, and then also he be gay too. And he be a killer. So it all depends. You're gonna go where you gravitate to. That's what I think. I would say.
But I'm just saying that the fact that we don't allow black men to openly question their sexuality and be comfortable with it, like we shouldn't. Obviously, if you're openly gay and that's who you are, you kind of hang out with a population, right? You have to find your own community to be comfortable with. Where that known killer could walk around openly accepted by everybody.
That's how we was raised. That's society, bro.
Listen,
but that's still a failure that we put black men into.
But you got to
not
think
just
about
black men. That's society
it's
failure.
learned behavior. That's learned behavior because even as a black man, when you work, you got to act accordingly. When you're doing everything we do, every time we step outside of our house or inside of where we live, we got to act accordingly as a black person. Mm-hmm. So everything you're saying is learned behavior. Society has taught us, listen, before we understood who was gay and who was what is what, it wasn't cool to just be like, yo, he gay, yo, this is my boy Chris, or whatever. I'm not saying Chris in general.
No,
I'm just saying it wasn't cool to be like, yo, this is my boy. Yeah, he gay, but yo, he gonna rock out with us
you don't
today.
have to announce his sexuality.
I know,
or anything
but
like that.
it's a lot of time was learned behavior. So certain things is we were taught that when we growing up, you need to act accordingly. You got to be professional a certain way. There's certain things at your job you can do that others cannot. I mean, you cannot do at your job, period. Mm-hmm. Just being a black person. So a lot of times it's learned behavior. We learned that the drug dealer and the shooter, the guy that put in work in the street is cool. We didn't learn.
You might have more in common with them.
Not
that's
even
the
just
thing.
in common, but we learned.
Listen,
and from being a black man, we learned that and relate to that. So we didn't learn to relate to being, Fred is gay, but that's cool. He's cool anyway.
I ain't calling out Fred.
No, I'm not.
We know
talking
Fred,
about,
but he's not. Yeah,
I'm just saying.
But what I'm saying is the reason why I think what you asking is a little off.
Don't get it twisted. I know it's apples and oranges, but I'm just saying conceptually, we should accept someone who's gay and stuff like that. We should
accept them, but
because that's who they are. But someone who
they travel in different
and I don't want to be hypocrite because I have strong love for people who hustle, and I have strong love for people I know who has bodies and stuff like that. Because you know what I'm saying. But at the same token, it's like we glorify these people with character defects while someone who didn't choose to be gay or didn't choose to kind of be like that, that's kind of who they are, we still make them have to, like Clifford said, operate as closet freaks.
I'm not out there glorifying either one.
I can't believe I said that. But,
I'm not out there glorifying either one.
That was an inappropriate word I should have said. Closet freak was not what I meant. But what I'm saying is, this is, like I said, it's learned behavior. Yeah. Listen, we're taught that
close out this conversation. Then I'm moving to the next topic.
We're taught that the drug deal is cool. We ain't taught that people growing up being gay is cool. That's
and the crazy thing about it is, whether you know it or not, everybody has gay people in their family. Everybody.
But as in the hood, you were taught that the drug dealer, he ran our hood. But we didn't say, he ran the gay. He ran the gay.
Hood a different way.
Yeah. So it was just learned behavior.
All right. So next topic we're gonna discuss is long-term relationships, right? And as you get older and older, like I was just talking to my sister-in-law, his wife earlier, and I was just like, y'all been together since 2007. Y'all got 15 years in the game. That's a long ass time. I've been with my wife since 2008. I got 14 years in the game. That's a long ass time. You know what I'm saying? But at the same token, it's sort of like long-term relationships, right? Like is that something that people are shooting for now, or is it just a circumstance, right? Because everybody who's been in a long-term relationship, you know, you laugh and you joke like, man, we've been together a long time. But at the same time, it's sort of like, yo, nobody that I know who've been in a long-term relationship say that if their relationship ends, they looking to do the long-term thing again. Everyone I know, happy, sad, or indifferent, everyone says, yeah, I'm not saying I'm unhappy in my relationship, but if it ended, I'm not signing up to do another 20 with somebody else.
Because
keep it a buck.
Yeah, 100%. You're 100% right, because it's a process, you know, like when you got more than 5 or when you got more than 10 years in the game with somebody, whatever, too, it lets you know, like, okay, yeah, this I don't think I could do another 20, 30, whatever. So a lot of times people stay together because you stay with what you know, right?
It's the W know versus the W
so
don't.
it's like this. It's like being at a job for 25 years and whatever, too, boom, and then starting over. The likelihood for you to leave that job now, you're like, I already did 25 years. I can't just leave. Yeah. It's tough. So a lot of times when you get past the 10-year mark in a relationship, unless it's abuse or domestic violence to the point whatever too, some of the other stuff you look over. Listen, a lot of women say, you know what, yeah, my man cheat, my man do whatever too, but he's this, he's that. Even guys be like, yo, damn, she slipped up once after 20 years. I gotta let her rock. I've been doing that the whole time. No, I'm facts, it's learned behavior. Facts. It's learned behavior. So a lot of times it's, I'm speaking through experience. 15 years in the game, and my relationship is up and down. It's a roller coaster. And even if she's listening to it, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is for me to say that, yo, I want to go out and get another 15 with somebody else, absolutely not. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. And she could feel the same way.
I would say,
because people change.
I can't really talk in the
You could talk because you've dealt.
No. With that time, not that time. I did 7 years. I did.
You did
maybe
7.
My longest relationship was like 8 years.
You did 7, but you knew her all your life. So you can talk. So definitely can talk. That's that. Just because y'all decided to become one and then whatever, you knew her all your life, so you definitely could talk.
No, I know.
Another thing,
but 7, 8 years. That was a lot for me. Mm-hmm. So y'all speaking almost double that time with the same person.
Too. You was young.
Yeah, I definitely was young.
So
I think
let me
it's
recap
harder
this,
when you're
right?
younger.
Long-term relationships. My first question is: long-term relationships, are they still a goal or they a circumstance?
It depends on who you're talking to. For the younger, are we speaking on anybody? Or are we speaking on a black man?
We're black men, so we'll speak from a black perspective.
I think it's still a goal. I think a lot of women, especially I'm referring to women because men, we even at 50 years old, we still think we still in the game. You be 50 years old, like, yo, I'm still in the game. I'm still out here. I'm still got him. I'm still wiping them down. I'm still whatever too. Boom. I feel like it's still a goal because once a woman turns 30 and she starts looking at herself and she's not married, she doesn't have kids or whatever too, people start asking questions. It's sexist,
for women,
but it's true.
Definitely a goal.
It's sexist, but it's true.
No brainer.
So I think when you talk as a woman perspective, of course it's a goal. From a man's perspective, it's more the circumstances because, man, we look at it like this. It's like when you see a 50-something-year-old man, he decided to leave his wife he was with for 30-something years, and now he's dating a 32-year-old. It happens all the time with men. Like, men will be with their wife for 40 years, whatever, too. Right? How many times you see that? And then find some. So I think for like in women in terms of age, in terms of like when they reach 30 years old, they start looking for stability. They want a family, they want kids, they want to get married, and they want that long-term relationship. I think more for women, it's more of a goal. Yeah. For men, it's more of a circumstance.
I'm going to get vulnerable here. Every now and then I got to get vulnerable. Yeah. Hold on, Marv. I'll let you get into it. I'll just say, speaking for me personally, at this point in my life, it is a goal because I don't necessarily want to be out there like that all the time. But then it's difficult because I do like the company of different women. You see what I'm saying? And when you in that situation where you trying to build a long-term thing with one woman, you can't have that.
No, you can't have that. No.
You can't have that.
I'm gonna keep it.
So
keep it a buck.
it's difficult for me. No, I'm just saying it's difficult me in that right because yes, that ultimately is. I can't be out here like this forever, but at the same time, I still like the company of multiple women. So I got to get past that.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. Elon Musk is wasting his time trying to get us to Mars. He needs to worry about curing all STDs in the world. If you cured all STDs in the world, there was no STDs. To be honest with you, that is the biggest thing that keeps me monogamous. That there's AIDS and shit out there. Because I don't listen. Let's keep it a buck.
Nah, but
I've been married 13 years.
Would go crazy.
I've been married 13 years, right?
Just knocking.
It's
you know what I'm saying?
It's that right? Because you could do things to prevent having a child, right? Like you've taken care of that. People been taking care of that kind of stuff like that. You can't. There's no guarantee that you're not going to catch an STD. And some people have bad luck. That one time that you go raw with this joint is the joint time you caught the monster, kind of stuff like that. So that kind of fear
is extreme.
Right? No, hold on, drop the mic. That was extreme.
He said that one time you caught the monster.
Not the clap.
No, it can happen.
Monster.
It can happen. So I say that to say this, right? Because and I probably whatever. My wife listens to the show, so I probably have a conversation about it later. To me, monogamy. To me, monogamy. We always make monogamy into this thing where it's just like, yo,
it's the Western way of living. It's
yeah,
not
like
natural. If
you love someone, you only gonna be with this one person for the rest of your life. Like, to be honest with you, like you said earlier, you like the company of different women. That's what makes monogamy kind of hard.
And that's the thing. I'm not saying I got to sleep with all those women.
Yeah,
I could have my lady, and I only sleep with her, but I do like to hang out with other chicks. And you know what I'm saying?
Or let's keep it a buck.
Okay,
let me just say with it. Let me just one thing, and then I'll give it a 4. The animalistic side of you, right? You could only want to love and cherish one person, but you may want to physically experience sex with another woman. But that don't mean you want to go out and love that person. That don't mean you don't want to go out and stuff like that. But society tells you that you married, you're supposed to be monogamous. There's some certain rule that, you know what, you could only love and physically want to be that person. But sometimes you're in a relationship and then like Jada. The only reason why I give Jada shit because Jada tried to speak one way that things are, and then she's doing all this entanglement wild shit. Like, keep it a buck. We understand, but
Jada be mad, disrespectful.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but my thing is, like, don't get it twisted. Like, Will remember during our last episode where I brought up, Will said some shit like, he got to a point where it's just like if he orgasm, it made him throw up. Like, orgasm he was having sex with so many women. Sometimes he would orgasm and it would make him throw up. He was just sick of coming like that. Like imagine, imagine you being with someone that you're committed to for the rest of your life, and they no longer want to engage in sex. They no longer want to have sex. They no longer have pleasure.
That's what she said. Will don't want to do.
No. I'm just bringing that correlation, stuff like that. Because if Will said some shit
she
like
said it was hard to have sex with him.
Yeah, some wild shit. I say that to say this. What is
she said it was hard to have sex?
Yeah, she said some wild shit. Right? But this I want you to go back to your point.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Like, so what if Will came to Jada and told her like, yo, because I was fucking so many joints, like, having sex to me, it makes me sick now and stuff like that. Jada's not supposed to pop it open for another dude even though she's committed to Will and Will's the love of her life.
Oh yeah, because you telling it like,
That's why monogamy to me.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall for them.
But that's why monogamy is a conversation we can continue to have for the rest of our days.
But what I'm saying is, you said you enjoy the company of being with other women too. If your significant other said, yeah, I'm only to sleep with you, but I like to hang out with other men, are you okay with that? I'm just asking you. That's a question you got to ask yourself.
I believe that women have more, and this is going to sound sexist. I believe women have more self-control in those situations than men do, right?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be worried about her and her actions per se, But I know the wolves is on
The
you.
wolves,
You know
right?
what
Is
I'm
what I'm
saying?
saying.
Because
Are you
you
okay with the fact that she says, you know what, Mike, I get it. If she comes to you, Mike, I get it. I know you like to be with other women, but I know you want to sleep with me and you like to hang out with me. I'm cool with that. But are you okay with her saying, I'm gonna do the same thing too?
If that's what I've known her to be, don't become that. Like you got the women who say, I don't have a lot of girlfriends, you know what I'm saying? I hang out with dudes more than anything. There's women like that. They don't have a lot of girlfriends, they hang out with a lot of dudes.
So
if that's who you've been, you know what I'm saying? And I still got into a relationship with you, when knowing that, I gotta accept that. You see what I'm saying? But
would you accept that if she told you that?
Yeah, if she told me that from jump,
If she told you from jump, like, oh, listen, you know, I don't have no female friends. All I got is guy friends.
I've been told that before by chicks and still start to fuck with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what I'm
okay, then
saying?
no, that's good then.
But my thing is, don't let that become you because of what I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it be you have your girlfriends and you don't really hang out with dudes, and then I'm telling you what I need as far as like the company of other women, and now you like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna accept that, but I think I'm gonna start hanging out with, you know, more dudes or something like that. Don't let who I am affect who you gonna now be. You see what I'm saying?
But the reason why I would it's one of those. That's why I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm one of those honest dudes. I know the game is not fair. That's why I just don't partake in it, because you know you can't come to your wife like, yeah, I'm gonna start hanging out and chilling with other chicks, and you can start hanging out and chilling with other dudes. You open up that floodgate. I always say vagina is more valuable than penis at all. If y'all both choose to be beasts, you're not
thinking
gonna keep
like that,
up.
my man.
You're not gonna keep up.
Stop linking.
You're not
Stop
gonna keep
thinking
up.
like that, my
I
man.
tell
It's
people all
that
the time.
mindset that is putting us in a bad position.
It's not the same.
It is not more valuable.
It's not the same. How many dudes have finish your statement? No, I'm sorry, I keep
no,
interrupting.
that's
Finish your
right.
statement. No, but how many dudes have you known that be like, yo, I think Shorty look terrible and shit like that, but you know what? I still let her give me head. Every dude done said that.
A lot of dudes have said that.
Oh, you think a lot of bad chicks done let a lot of ugly niggas eat their pussy? So what are you
that's
saying,
true.
bro? That's a bad
you
example.
You think it's
a bad
the same?
example,
You think it's the same?
bro.
Yeah, they do it.
You
They
think it's
do
the
it.
same?
They do it.
You honestly can tell yourself it's the same.
They'll straight up
This
say,
is the
yo,
thing. First of
I'ma
all,
let 'em eat me
chicks
out,
don't
though.
just want any pipe. They want good pipe, right? Whether it be from a know-nothing nigga or a good nigga, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's what they want. And there are a lot more of them out here than it is us. So how you gonna tell me the pussy is more valuable than the dick when there's a lot more to choose from?
Because
there's a lot more pussies to choose from, baby.
Let's keep it
and
a
they
buck.
giving it
Our
up.
standards as
they
men.
giving it up, my G.
Overall, our standards as men is not as high as the women's standards are.
I don't know. This is a hot girl time, man. This is not the old self-respectful women time.
No,
and
but-
these chicks is hot. They want it more
So
than we do.
if that's the case, right? If that's the case, why is it more women prostitutes than men prostitutes?
Because
Women outnumber us.
We are more inclined to pay for it.
No, but
Women
it's
don't
because
feel-
our standards.
No.
Our standards are
That's
different.
just the way thing has been. There's not many women who women don't know they
But
have
what
to
I'm
pay
saying
for it.
is- What I'm saying is this.
And we're
like,
not paying for the pussy. We paying for you to leave.
Same difference,
pay
bro.
it. No,
Same
it's not
difference.
the same difference.
I think like
Come
when
on,
it comes
man.
to terms of relationship and all that, like you gotta express and set a standard of what you believe in. If we cool, like before when I was saying, we cool and we decided to become boyfriend girl, I'm gonna tell you straight up. I don't believe in the whole guy friends for you kind of thing, whatever. So boom. Even me, you be like, oh, I don't want you to have girlfriends, whatever. So I got a bunch of associates. I don't have girlfriends where I'm like, oh, I'm calling them every day, whatever. Too. I have a bunch of associates where I have to communicate to them at a certain level when in terms of job or work related. Anything outside of that or whatever, then it become a problem. But you gotta set the standard. If you with me, and I'm like, yo, I don't believe in that guy from drink, whatever. But you more than welcome to find the next dude that's okay with that. I give you the option. But I always set my standard like that to let them know where I stand.
So if she had a male friend who she was friends with for years before y'all got together,
It
she's
don't
not
matter.
allowed to have him no
Listen,
more? He
listen.
got to go away?
Listen. My wife's guy friends is all the new dudes that she met. If she had guy friends before me, I told her, listen, it's not gonna work out between us like that. No, not because whatever. Not because I don't. It's not because I don't trust her. Whatever. Guy friends play the games. Guy friend will act like he drunk, text you. Yo, I just want to come and eat your pussy. Then the next day, no, real talk. No, real talk.
These are facts.
Real talk. Then the next day, be like, yo, I was so drunk. Sorry for my behavior. They all try. Listen, let me say, listen. I told my female friends long time ago. I said, listen, you could call your male friend right now and say, yo, I want to fuck you right now, and he'd be like, yo, what time? And he's supposed to, because we don't listen. We wouldn't listen. That's the out for us. We ain't gonna turn it down. You gonna be like, all right, what time I come through?
I gotta disagree.
Nah, listen. Sometimes
I have female friends who that wouldn't go down the same.
I had female friends, and had female friends before my wife, whatever too, and I turned them down because I'm like, the relationship is not going to be the same.
If there's no attraction at all.
When I was on my savage mode, if that happened, I'd be like, yo, listen. You know what? You know what's gonna happen and how you're gonna feel the next day.
I
gotta tell them what it is. I think that a lot of times in relationships we don't tell the person what we really want to have a relationship with, and that's why we get hurt. A lot of times now it's 2022. If you listen, I swear to God, if 2022, if you know you want to try to be in a relationship with a girl and you like to bring other people to the party, or you know you ain't gonna be faithful and you really care about that person, express that. Tell that person now, so they don't know what they're getting into. We too old now to play the game.
So you don't believe people with the opposite sex can be friends, just friends.
No, I didn't say that.
They can be.
But they have to. They
gotta be rules and regulations.
There can't be that chemistry there.
They gotta be rules and regulations, and then this is the standard I set. I'm not saying that you can't be friends.
All my female friends that
I'm telling you, if you go in a relationship with me, these are the things that I expect from you. And if I expect that and it goes to something else, okay, it is what it is.
All my really close female friends I know are not attracted to me, and that makes everything easier to happen. If there's is that like, you know, I know she's feeling me, I know she wants to get down with me, stuff like that. As a man, you can't let yourself get that close, because the temptation and the situations that you could be put into is not easy. So let me move on to the next question on long-term relationships.
You gonna go on.
Besides for children, are there any other reasons to shoot for a long-term relationship?
Besides children, absolutely.
What's the benefits?
The benefits, for the most part, if you want to be in a relationship, you want somebody who you can count on, somebody who you know, in and out. You literally looking for a partner. You know what I'm saying? So I think the best lesson, you learn more about somebody through time, experience with them. You know what I'm saying? Seeing how they react in certain situations. And then it's just that if they're the right person, you know what I'm saying, they build you up. That's a support system you have. Somebody you can count on no matter what. When you know you're not sure about other people, you know you got this one person in your corner to back you up, whatever. So I think there's a lot of benefits to having that. Kids can be, a benefit as well, but that's not the only thing. It's much more to having like somebody who you can know, I got this person in my corner if I don't have nobody else.
I respect that. What do we think? Outside of just having children, like, what is the goal? Having a lifelong partnership is dope. I definitely agree with that.
Having a lifetime partner should be, even long-term relationship. I think a lot of times sometimes you hit your plateau is we stop having fun with each other in the long-term relationships, and that could, and I'm open book. I speak from my relationship. Sometimes it's like the arguing, this and this and that. All this play a part. If you go back to say, when we first dated, what we was doing, it's the fun part about it. I think if you have a long-term relationship and y'all can still have fun from the first, when y'all first started dating, and even with the kids, what y'all call it, it's a benefit. But if it becomes the point where you're just in this long-term relationship for the kids, now you're looking at a world of destruction. Eventually, you're going to be very unhappy, and somebody might stray.
Yeah.
And there's a value in that too. Sometimes if you do have kids with somebody and y'all been together a long time, you might sometimes question, well, are they still just with me because we have kids together? If y'all don't,
I think that's a foundation of 60% of marriages.
exactly.
Out in this world.
So if y'all don't have children together, but y'all still riding together, you know what I'm saying, as partners and a spouse, and you know, at least you ain't gotta question it. You know, I know you ain't. She ain't still here because of the kids, or he ain't still here because of the kids.
Honestly, it makes it a lot easier when the kids are not involved because you could really truly see who the person is. Me, and my perspective, I love my daughter. You know what I mean? I feel like she's a miracle for me. She's everything to me. So I can stay with my wife and borderline be unhappy because the benefit. I'm saying I'm not saying I'm unhappy now. I'm saying I could stay with my significant other. The fact because I want the family structure. I always grew up with my mother and father. My father and mother relationship wasn't peaches and cream, but my mom stuck it out with my dad off the benefit of for us. You know,
That's one thing.
I could express that.
Yeah, that's one thing.
I didn't say nothing crazy about it. I'm just saying.
He was walking a thin line.
No, but that's one thing I can give. You know, it gives me perspective about me being in such a long-term relationship. Like me and my wife, like we don't have any children. To be honest with you, we don't have anything that can't be separated like that and us move on to it, right? Like we own a condo together, but that could be sold and moved on that quickly. Like she's not financially dependent on me. I'm not financially dependent on her. Us being together financially help us out each other, right? Yeah. But if she said like, yo, you gotta go, F you kind of stuff like that, like it's gonna hurt me, but I'm gonna be able to bounce back in a month or two.
See,
I'll be
that type
fine.
of situation that you can
Her the same.
We're together because we want to be together.
Yeah.
And no other reason.
And we talk about it. We like, are you still happy? Can we work on things of that nature? Are you not happy? Like, do you still want to be together? People always feel like asking each other that question is signs of, you know, peril or something wrong.
But
no,
that's
signs of you, like you said. She always bring this up. She's like, yo, she loves Clifford's report card conversation, and like those like when you always make the reference, like, yo, you check in, you see what's going on, like how are we doing, things of that nature. We need to have those conversations instead of guessing. Instead of implying, oh, she ain't complaining, right? That's why people start having bad sex too, right? Because people get monotonous and people just like, you know what? These are the moves I always give her. She should be good. No, you got to check in to make sure that the person's really into it.
But in terms of
sex, relationships, all of that.
If and that's what therapy play a part. If your mental ain't right and in a long-term relationship, it's not gonna work. Period. Like you could be in a long-term relationship. That's when therapy play a good part, right? When you have a long-term relationship, you definitely should seek therapy because that right there, you can express exactly where y'all hit the plateau, like where y'all not leveling up. Because every relationship get to the point you like, yo, I don't know what's going on. When men and women, not saying that just one part, because it's a lot of things. Sometimes you think you're doing everything wrong, right, and you're doing everything wrong. Both parties. So when they get to a long-term relationship past 5 years and up, I think we definitely should see therapy and to have your mental status, you know, okay.
I've reached. This is the last time I'm saying. Then I'm gonna ask the next question. I've reached a level of right now because, like I said, we don't have any children. My one of my primary focuses to make sure that my wife is good with or without me. Like if something happens to me, that she's good. Even if we break up, I still feel like because of the time we spent together, I got to make sure that she's good even if we break up. And that's the level of, because we've been through so much together, that she has to be good regardless. Like she could say she stopped loving me, and I'm only going to walk away if I know that she could be good independently. Like whatever she chooses to transition to, she's going to be good.
So that means, you know, that you see, like you said, it's easier to answer the question when children are not involved, right? Because a lot of times, men and women, they'll stay in a relationship. You know what? I want the kids to be happy. I want the kids to have structure. I want the kids to have organization, whatever, to boom. And we're in the 80s, so we experience where people fight for their relationship. Nowadays, dude, people be 6 months in like, yo, I'm out.
Yeah.
You good?
Fast.
You know what I'm saying? So our parents didn't tell you the conversation or when they was like, I fought for my relationship. I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? So it's different now. Now you got social media to play. In fact, everybody's accessible.
Save some of that thought because you kind of speaking to the last question on this
Okay.
topic, right? So the last question of this topic, right, and the topic was long-term relationships, is the generations born in 2000s and going forward is more common for them to know divorce or single parents than having two parents together. Like when we was growing up, even though we had a lot of friends who had single parents, it wasn't like crazy to see the mom and the dad there. But kids born in the 2000s and going forward,
Yeah.
most of them, they more know split relationships, divorced parents and single parents. So the question is this trend alarming or is it the sign that people are not staying in unhealthy relationships? Mike, you go first.
Well, speaking of my experience, I was so young. So when I probably should have, or if I was more mature, would have had the mind state to stick it out and fight for the relationship, I chose to just let it go and move on to something else.
Yeah.
And then in another situation, it probably was the right thing to let it go and move on to something else because I would have been staying for my children, but I would have really been unhappy because I was dealing with a fucking psycho. But outside of that, I'm just...
So you speak to the latter part. You chose to not stay in an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah. But I still have to now do more to make sure I'm consistent in my children's life and have a certain kind of relationship with them.
And you know what I respect
mean?
about that? It's better that your son see that, you know what, me and mom didn't work out, but I still have respect enough to be your dad and not disrespect her, than for them to see, God forbid, you start knocking her around the place, y'all fighting, you choking her, she trying to stab you, and that builds their
That's what it coulda
perspective
come.
of what a
Yeah.
relationship is.
Yeah.
You know
And
what
even
I'm
now I
saying?
have to kind of watch my tongue because at the same time, though I want to say some bad stuff
Yeah.
about her, I don't want to do that in front of them or have them hear me say those things about
Because
their
you
mother.
don't want them.
Because then
You
they
know what
become
I'm
a
saying?
You
parent
don't
and they'll
want-
mimic
yeah,
that in
you-
their relationship.
Exactly.
You don't want them to experience.
And I've seen it happening, and I slip up from time to time, but I have to catch myself, and I have to tell my son, don't talk about your mother like
So
that.
what do you think? Do you think it's an alarming trend that kids from the 2000s and going forward don't know like two family parents the way we do? Or you think is this part of it is just like, it's a sign that people are not staying in toxic relationships?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think something people are just not gonna tolerate it, and then I feel like with the addition of social media, it's more easy to say you could literally be in a relationship the next day.
Some people are carrying two relationships and waiting to see which one they're gonna date.
You could literally be in a relationship the next day because you was talking to somebody the whole time while you was in that relationship, and now you say, you know what, I'm gonna leave my baby mother or wife to be with this person because I always wanted to be with her, and because you met her on social media, you met her whatever. Like a lot of times in 2000s, you have access to more. You got grandmas who's 50 years old. Bernice Burgess is 40 something years old, and she looks better than half of these
She's
20-year-olds.
a grandma.
You know what I'm saying? So grandma didn't do that. Grandma that had the typewriter, and she didn't have she wasn't.
Grandma wasn't wearing the
grandma
workout suit. She was wearing the muumuu.
Grandma wasn't competing with
Mama, grandma still had that box though that, you know what I'm saying, that
Yeah,
held
it
it
was
down.
hidden. It was hidden.
It was more traditional.
It
Now
wasn't
it's
out
like
there so everybody could
50
see it.
years old is not considered 50-something, 55 years old is not considered really a grandma no more. Like, like to that point. Because you got some 55-year-olds like, listen, I'm out here. I'm competing. So I think the
competing.
No, I think the fact that you have social media that plays a part, whatever too, people are like, I'm not gonna tolerate it.
Social media is such the worst
It
thing.
controls so much of
It
the
is
world.
the worst
Listen,
thing when
it controls
comes to
so much of the world
relationships.
because you know why?
There would be so many more successful relationships.
Because
Without
it makes you
social
think
media.
you got more shots with different...
No, it's such a
Yeah.
distraction.
It
like
is.
even here, like even if I'm on Facebook, whatever, there could be 3 different girls that send you a friend request, whatever, too, and you look at the pictures, whatever. That's just It's human behavior. You look at the picture like, damn, they look good. I delete them because I don't know you.
Exactly.
Because I don't know
you
your
trying to sell
end
me
game.
pussy? I don't want it.
I don't know. I delete them because I'm like, I don't know you. But that's what I'm saying.
I laugh at it. I'm just like
the 2000 relationship. They got more everything. They could. You got the internet. You got the online dating. You got
someone
this and that.
Someone on Messenger hit me up and say, "Hey, do you want to buy my nudes?"
They're selling it all.
That's what I'm
she
saying.
tried to talk me up. I never completely jump off a conversation and just curse someone out and stuff like that. I always want to see like, did you come in contact with me because you watched my podcast and you want to know more about the podcast stuff like that?
What made you think that I was going to be your next victim? That's what's curious to me.
Yeah.
Because they're having success with this stuff.
But what I'm
they're not just doing it for nothing.
What I'm saying is this is the 2000 generation. They don't fight for nothing about when it comes to long-term, like making a relationship work.
Yeah.
Our relationship in our days that we grew up with is our parents tell us, the first thing your parents want to tell you, I stayed with your dad or you stayed with your grandpa. We had some rough times, but we did it to make sure y'all turned out good.
The fight is gone. The fight is gone.
There's no fighting no more.
Yeah, but
people like, yo, I'm
to
out.
be honest with you, I more respect people who step away from a toxic situation because, like, don't show these kids example and stuff like that. Like, God bless the dead. Some of the husband I became was trying not to do some of the mistakes that my dad was towards my mom. You know what I'm saying? So I fought hard to, like, I'm not going to be that same way kind of thing. And so I know, what it is like to see a long-term marriage and it was not always happy and stuff like that. I didn't want to mimic that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same token, I understood the hard work that I understood the commitment of bringing up 4 kids in Jamaica, Queens, and needing 2 people to like bring them up together, and you need a village. And I understood that.
What I'm saying is that I feel like the 2000 generation, in terms of the relationships, whatever, they don't get the value and structure that we had. And say, you see what you said. You said God rest his soul. But you learn from that. You don't get that now. Now it's like this. You see your mom and dad might be in a relationship they might be married for 2 years, and then you like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he might be in and out. He might stay. All that plays a part. Like I said, and it's crazy because like what you said. I tell my wife, I said, if we're gonna have an argument or whatever, too, make sure that little girl's sleeping, because I don't want her to pick a man that she thinks she could be arguing. You know what I'm saying? All that plays a part.
And because the way Daddy used to talk to Mommy, that is okay.
Yes.
So the last, because we only have a couple minutes, I'm gonna go to the last topic, and COVID. COVID has been the longest 2 years of my life, right? And I was watching a video that really made me feel old. Like, like I said earlier in this episode, I'm turning 40 and everything's reflection. There was a girl who shot a video on Instagram. She said, like, respectfully, y'all born in the 1900s? And I was like, damn. It was a girl born in 2002, right? She's like, y'all born in the 1900s? It's like, damn.
Yeah, 1900s.
Like we sound like we was born in the Wild Wild West and shit. Like there was no cars when we was born, but we was born in 1900s. I say that to say this. The last 2 years has been so long and traumatizing. You know what I'm saying? Like, COVID's 2 years old now, but I feel like COVID's been around for the last 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So how do y'all feel? So first question is, COVID-19, like the long urgent cares, the test shortages, the mask mandate, the vaccine debates, has this been the longest 2 years of your life?
I wouldn't say it has been the longest 2 years of my life because, like, I had my health issues and stuff, whatever, too. So I just feel like of not understanding life, because honestly, it took COVID let me learn what was important to me, because
that's a fact.
When you lose people, and you like somebody like Kevin died, Angel died, this person died. You like. Damn. People are like people are my basketball teammate in junior high school. My man, I used to see him on the island, whatever. Too, boom, and we used to talk. He's like, yo, Cliff, you just bigger and you got muscles now, but you still look the same. Like you're facing. And I don't have that conversation with him. I remember before COVID 2 weeks ago, we was chopping. He's like, yo, you still balling? I said, nah, I'm washed up. I don't play ball like that, whatever. Too, but I said I still give you that work. It was just joking around. But then somebody called me and told me like, yo, he died. And I deal with death differently, so I might not be the person that cry immediately, but I got my own time when I'm like, I could be driving in a car and I'm just thinking to myself like, I'm over here, like, going through stuff. But I literally had a conversation with this, and I know him since junior high school,
He died
and
from COVID?
He died from COVID.
Yeah.
It's been in terms of like not knowing what's next.
Yeah.
It's been rough for me.
Like you said, I've had like, I'm going through Facebook memories and stuff like that. And the last 2 years of Facebook memories now, it's people in pictures that are dead from COVID now. You know what I'm saying? And like these people are like, we in our 30s, like shit, people unless something tragic happens, you don't usually like, damn, this person's not with you no more. But these people are dying from COVID. You know what I'm saying?
So it's been rough.
I wouldn't say I felt like it's the longest 2 years because as I'm getting older, time is flying. So 2019, I still remember when we first started. You know what I mean? When COVID first hit and everything shut down, it was crazy. That doesn't seem like that long ago. Mm-hmm. But it is the most, these past 2 years have been the most, not scary, just
confusing,
unbelievable, confusing.
Like you don't know what's going on.
Unbelievable years. You know what I'm saying? Because I never would have thought.
These last 2 years have been the most unhappy for me. And I'll tell you why. Because I struggle for something to look forward to. COVID has really changed the way that's just like, damn. Like to me, I'm in survival mode more so than looking forward to stuff. You know what I'm saying?
It's exactly surviving more so than
like I'm making sure like, damn, if I catch COVID, how do I survive if I catch COVID again? I lucked out, I beat COVID one time, am I gonna beat it again? You know what I'm saying? I'm more in survival mode than looking forward to stuff.
Like even to piggyback what you're saying is this. Imagine this. I have a coworker. She's not at the job anymore. I'm not saying her name. She literally left the job, selling her house, moving to South Dakota, and all this because she didn't want to take the vaccine, and she refused. Her husband refused. She doesn't want the kids to take the vaccine, so they're moving to South Dakota where it's not mandated or stuff. Like, do you literally hear this? She's been under. Not just my job, but under 1199 for almost 20-something, 30 years. I didn't say a name or nothing. Yeah. So what I'm saying, 30 years. And literally the last 2 years, she's like, I'm just not going to be a part of it. She feels like I'm not going to be an alien. I'm not going to be a test dummy. And she's strongly and passionate about it. And I told her straight up, I said, listen, I respect where you're coming from, but I don't have the time and place, and I don't have luxury, and I don't have enough money to say, yo, I'm good. I don't need to work for nobody and whatever too. So a lot of things, it's like I don't want to get into in depth and talk about in terms of shots and stuff, whatever too. It's like we have, in terms of having control, we literally don't have, because we have no control for the last 2 years.
That's why I've been so sad. Like that's why I'm thinking of therapy.
It's one of those things is where either way you think it's not been the toughest is. You gotta think it's the toughest because you have no control for the last 2 years.
And you realize this.
So Mike,
you didn't realize
because this is the end of the show and we run out of time, you close us out with your statement.
Basically, what you were saying, Cliff, is absolutely right. And that's why it's been so unbelievable. And it's like you realize you don't have as much control over your life as you think you do. The government has been flip-flopping and unsure and changing the mandate to this and doing that and that, and it's still not clear. Right?
I'm sad for the people who lost their jobs because they wouldn't get vaccinated.
And now they said, the judge said federally, you can't force them to do that. You see, so it's like...
And people's lives have been disrupted because of it.
People who didn't want to be vaccinated have gotten vaccinated just because they want to say it's a choice. It's not a choice. You got your livelihood. You trying to take care of your family. They're telling you got to do this,
you got
or
bill,
you could not get paid.
You can't.
That's
you
not
can't
a choice.
That's not a choice.
You can't go into certain countries without the vaccination.
No, you can't go to restaurants. You can't do nothing.
You can't live your life the way you are expected or thought you could live it. Free, you know what I mean, to do what you want. You can't do it unless you do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know what to say to people sometimes, because it's like, this is the new normal, but it's not normal, and it'll never be normal. So
That's
this
what
is
I
not
worry
something
about.
I want to get used to. And that's like 2 years later, I thought we would have been I thought it would have been
ahead.
further
And
away.
then-
The
from
fact that we don't have no answers.
And
There's
then
no
we-
guaranteed
and then
answers in none of this
then
stuff.
the scary part is it's more to come. There's more variants coming. It's more. Then now we gotta take the. Now they're trying to mandate to take the booster shot. It's like, come on, I didn't know disrespect. I didn't know what I took the first time around. Now you want me to go? Like, I don't
Get
know what's
some more, put it
going
in
on.
you.
Like,
Yeah.
I just be listen. I pray to God that everything get better, but not having an understanding and physically not knowing what I'm doing for the last 2 years and just and then explaining it as a parent is difficult. Bella, you got to put your mask on. Keep your mask so you want to get sick. It's just like
it's going to create a level of anxiety
Yeah.
and paranoia in the young
Yes,
children
yes.
that we never had to deal
Yes.
with.
Therapy is going to be a mandated subject in
Mandated.
school.
yes.
They're like,
yes.
oh, I need my mask.
Just
It's,
like you
it's
go to
dangerous
gym,
outside.
just
And
like you go to
then-
gym, you're gonna have to
And then
go
it's
to
like
therapy.
this. You. The last thing I was saying is when you say about kids is you get a kid that was an A student in the classroom. Now he got to go online and he got all this
Homeschooling.
distraction. Now he going from an A to a C. I seen kids.
Yeah.
A grades drop. All this plays affecting it. So it's like
Yeah.
we just don't know. We honestly the best thing to do is stick together and stay close to your close
If
ones,
you
'cause
believe in
never
God,
know.
stay prayed up.
Yeah,
That's all you could
it.
do.
That's it.
All right, so that's the end of this episode. It was a good episode. We spoke about a lot, and it was a good welcome back. Good.
I
salute
missed
to
y'all.
2022.
I missed y'all.
Like I said, continue to support us. Follow us on social media. Views from the Friend Zone on IG. You could catch the podcast is on Spotify, Apple,
Spot 'em.
Google. You know, anywhere you consume podcasts, and we also post the episodes on YouTube, man. We want to continue to have these discussions so you could feel regular. You know what I'm saying? I don't like regular, but you could feel like, yo, the things that you're thinking about, other people are thinking about it that too. Please reach out to us. We're not therapists or anything of that nature, but we're common folk who want to have these conversations. If there's topics you want us to discuss and topics that you think we need to bring up, please bring it to our attention. You could even email viewsfromdafriendzone@gmail.com. I'll check the emails. I'll spread it out to the group. And, you know, we want to continue to grow. We want to continue to be the people's podcast.
Yeah.
We
Got to
out.
get back on the
Peace.
move. Views.
Yeah, it's been a lot though, bro. It's crazy.
The booze, the fools. For baby mommy and daddy, we got all the tools. Real talk, mom dropping all the new jewels. Cliff Rock, got it on lock. Open shirt, be the super flirt. Greedy gut, got a strut, still no butt. It's the views from the friend zone. We celebrate like we always in the end zone. Yeah, it's the views from the friend zone. We celebrate like we always in the end zone. Yeah, it's the views from the friend zone. We celebrate like we always in the end zone.